ever wondered how your childhood experiences shape your personality as you grow older? This question has fascinated psychologists for generations and continues to be a topic of debate today. While many aspects of personality development are still being explored, one thing is clear: childhood trauma can leave lasting imprints on your thoughts, behaviors, and overall personality. The adversities you face in childhood often play a crucial role in shaping who you become as an adult. Childhood trauma, whether emotional or physical, can alter the way you think, influence your behavior, and mold your personality traits. In some cases, it can even make you more susceptible to developing serious mental health issues. 1. Perfectionism, the burden of impossibly high standards. Have you ever found yourself striving for perfection, only to feel constantly anxious and stressed because nothing ever seems good enough? If so, your perfectionism may be rooted in childhood trauma. According to research published in the Journal of Research and Personality, there is a connection between childhood trauma and perfectionism, particularly when your parents imposed high expectations and demanded nothing less than perfection. If your parents expected you to excel in every area, whether it was academic achievement, cleanliness, or even your hobbies, you might have internalized their demands. For example, they may have insisted that a B was unacceptable, that your room was never clean enough, or that your hobbies were not up to their standards. This relentless pressure to meet their expectations can leave you feeling exhausted and inadequate, even as an adult. Over time, this need for perfection becomes ingrained in your personality. You may feel overwhelmed by anxiety if something isn't perfect, and this constant striving for unattainable standards can lead to feelings of dissatisfaction and even depression. The pursuit of perfection often becomes a way to cope with the fear of not being good enough, a fear that stems from your early experiences with critical or demanding parents. 2. Eating disorders, the body's response to emotional trauma. Trauma doesn't just affect your mind, it can also manifest in your body. Several studies have found a link between childhood emotional trauma and the development of eating disorders, such as anorexia or binge eating. If your parents were overly focused on your appearance or weight, you might be especially vulnerable to these disorders. But eating disorders aren't always about physical appearance. For many trauma survivors, disordered eating becomes a way to cope with negative emotions. Controlling your eating habits or weight can give you a sense of control in a life that feels chaotic or out of your hands. You might feel like everything else is falling apart, but at least you have control over your body. Emotional eating is another coping mechanism that can develop in response to trauma. Food becomes a source of comfort and security, and you may turn to it whenever life feels overwhelming. However, while emotional eating might provide temporary relief, it often leads to further feelings of guilt and shame, exacerbating the trauma in the long run. 3. Childish behavior, the emotional stagnation of trauma. Do you sometimes find yourself behaving in ways that seem more appropriate for a child than an adult? Trauma can sometimes leave you emotionally stuck in your childhood, especially if the feelings of shame, guilt, fear, or humiliation you experienced were particularly intense. These emotions can make the responsibilities and stresses of adulthood feel overwhelming. In response, you may regress to childlike behaviors as a way to cope with adult life. This phenomenon, known as age regression, is a psychological defense mechanism where you revert to behaviors that provided comfort and security during childhood. These behaviors might include using baby talk, throwing temper tantrums, or relying on stuffed animals to self-soothe. While age regression can be a symptom of serious mental disorders, it can also occur temporarily in response to stress or trauma triggers. For example, a stressful event or a painful memory might cause you to momentarily revert to a childlike state. Although this behavior can be difficult to manage, it's important to remember that it's a coping mechanism. You are still capable of living a fulfilling life, even if you sometimes need to rely on your inner child for comfort. 4. Insecure attachment, the lasting effects of unstable relationships. One of the most significant impacts of childhood trauma is how it affects your relationships with others. According to attachment theory, your early experiences with your caregivers shape the way you view yourself and the world around you. If your parents were loving, supportive, and responsive to your needs, you likely developed a secure attachment. This means you learned that you are worthy of love and that you can trust others to be there for you. However, if your parents were neglectful, inconsistent, or abusive, you might have developed an insecure attachment. Insecure attachment can manifest in different ways, depending on how you were treated as a child. There are three main types of insecure attachment: anxious or preoccupied attachment. If your attachment style is anxious, you might struggle with low self-worth and a deep fear of abandonment. You may crave love and attention, but at the same time, you doubt that you are truly lovable. This insecurity can lead you to seek constant validation and approval from others, often at the expense of your own needs and well-being. Avoidant or dismissive attachment. Not everyone with childhood trauma has a negative self-image. If your attachment style is avoidant, you might see yourself as strong and independent, but you struggle to trust others. Because of your past experiences, you may have decided that people are unreliable or even harmful. As a result, you might avoid close relationships and intimacy, preferring to keep others at arm's length. Disorganized or fearful avoidant attachment. This attachment style often develops when a child's caregivers are inconsistent. One moment they're loving and supportive, and the next, they're abusive or neglectful. If this was your experience, you might feel conflicted about relationships. You want to be close to others, but you're also afraid of being hurt. This push-pull dynamic can make it difficult to form stable, trusting relationships. Your self-image may also be unstable, as you struggle to reconcile your desire for connection with your fear of rejection. Coping with the lasting effects of childhood trauma. Understanding how childhood trauma has shaped your personality is the first step toward healing. It's important to recognize that these patterns of behavior and thought are coping mechanisms that helped you survive difficult experiences. However, they don't have to define you forever. Therapy can be a powerful tool for addressing the effects of childhood trauma. Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, for example, can help you challenge and reframe the negative beliefs you've internalized. Trauma-focused therapies, such as EMDR, eye movement desensitization and reprocessing, can help you process and heal from traumatic memories. Building a support system of trusted friends, family members, or support groups can also make a significant difference. Sharing your experiences with others who understand what you've been through can help you feel less isolated and more empowered to make positive changes in your life. Reflecting on your journey. How has your childhood shaped the person you are today? Whether you identify with some of these examples or have your own unique experiences, it's important to acknowledge the impact of your early years. By reflecting on your past and recognizing the ways in which it has influenced you, you can begin to take steps toward healing and growth. We invite you to share your experiences in the comments below. By doing so, you may discover that you're not alone in your struggles, and you might even help someone else who is going through a similar journey. If you found this article helpful, please like and share it with someone who might benefit. Subscribe to Brainwaves and hit the notification bell for more content like this. We're committed to creating more content than ever, especially given the current global decline in mental health. Thank you for being part of our journey as we continue to raise awareness and provide support to those in need.